Geek out over stories, let me explain. The monomyth, or the hero's journey, as most people know it as, marks the stages a protagonist must follow in order to...
My name is Jamie, and this is I Can't Play Guitar because I can't play guitar. You see my guitar here, we got my bass here. We are going to play some bass and some guitar. I'm trying a different lens during this session. This is part 3 of June 14th, Guitar Every Day. We are on day 4 of our streak of playing guitar for 30 minutes every day. We already played guitar, so we're actually kind of just hanging out. That's what the show is, daily hangout to watch videos together. You can see them up in this corner here if you want, and you can chat with us live as we watch the videos and play guitar. If you want, you can bring your guitar along and play. Use this as time to motivate yourself to practice, or just come hang out and watch videos with us. Let's get going. This is the best ripoff of all time. We're a little bit of the way in, but they're talking about Mr. Robot. Spoiler alert, a lot of the plot points of Mr. Robot.
Stop whatever evil may lie in the shadows. In 1949, an author named Joseph Campbell created this term, using it in his book, The Hero with 1,000 Faces. Here, it is detailed how most heroes' journeys go. Ironically enough, this episode stops precisely where it should on the monomyth, the first stage. They are as follows. First, a call to adventure. This comes with the initial hack on Allsafe. Second, supernatural aid. This comes in the form of Mr. Robot and somewhat Darlene. This is what kickstarts everything. Then, when he eventually agrees to go along with everything, he goes beyond the threshold, bringing him into the dark world, as author James Scott Bell puts it. It's usually used in a literal sense when talking about fantasy stories, like Mordor or something along those lines, but in this case, it means that more harm can be bestowed upon Elliot now that he's taken the call to action. From there, a mentor decides to help the protagonist get to whatever goal they desire, although they first reject the call to adventure rather than agree to it. Although Elliot doesn't flat out reject it, there's a hint of hesitation, as his trust for this figure that in his mind is quietly following him isn't that high.
You're gonna frame him? No one's gonna believe that. Yeah, he'll just go to jail. What good will that do?
A montage follows this, showing how Elliot is agreeing to help F Society in their mission, as Mr. Robot predicted.
What do we got?
So, if you'll take a look at the first page of your agenda...
You're the one who stopped the hack.
A meeting between Allsafe and E-Corp ensues, with Terry Colby very prominently gaining the power of the room. He creates some awkward moments between all of them. Colby notices a discrepancy in the timeline Angela presents, to which Elliot saves her by creating a phony reason for their technical errors.
Noticed the breach at 2:07 a.m. Eastern Standard on Friday night.
You mean Saturday?
Sorry, yes. Technically, Saturday morning.
Okay, Angela, that's what we're here for. The technicals.
That night, it is revealed that Michael Hansen was using a false identity, his real name being Lenny Shannon, warranting Elliot to personally meet him to stop him from seeing her anymore. This encounter is very similar to the first one shown in the episode. Even the possibility of Lenny being a was brought up. Of course, Elliot also takes the dog. I mean, why not?
One more thing. I'm gonna need something from you.
What follows are two confrontations that both begin the gradual crumbling of Elliot's life with both Krista and Angela. The former, Krista, trying to hide her devastation during a therapy appointment. The latter, Angela, frustrated with how Elliot tried to help her with the last meeting.
You think we can talk?
What? I don't want to talk to you because I feel embarrassed every time I think about what happened.
It's been 3 weeks.
I have to get back to work.
You're just gonna ignore me?
You didn't have to stick up for me in there.
Instead of walking away, he hugs her. They are seen about to kiss when everyone stands from their desks to see the TV behind them. Terry Colby, the man they framed for the hacking, was arrested.
Or in part tied to Colby's terminal.
The The episode finishes with the same visuals of the men we saw at the beginning of the episode. He was finally face to face with the 1% of the 1%. The episode concludes with Terrell's face coming to focus and the words,
Bonsoir, Elliot.
Please tell me you're seeing this too.
Terrell begins the episode by offering a job at Evil Corp,
So I'm gonna pause it
ranting
here.
about how power is only given to those.
A job at Evil Corp. Alright, we're gonna watch something else. Let's see what we got on tap. Let's watch. TikTok's newest Pick Me with Chad.
To job. Hey guys, and welcome back to job.
Hey, Chad.
My name is Chad, and you're just not like other girls. All they care about is hair and makeup and shampoo and soap. And I love that you don't care about any of those things because you take my breath away. And it's great, and I love it. If you missed my last video on Pick Me's, or if you just don't remember it, I don't, and I'm the one who made it. We talked about Pearl and her podcast where she rattles off a bunch of statistics and blames women for all of society's failings.
Everyone calling me a pick-me. I'd rather be a pick-me than a skip-me.
That was over 6 months ago, and she still doesn't seem to have found a high-value man yet. I don't know how you can be a booger and still not get picked, but this genre has been infiltrating the internet and actually finding big followings by posting a bunch of podcast clips where they just target a really specific audience. Someone really needs to start getting them aprons, not because they're women, but just because of all the catering that they're doing. At this point, it's impossible to tell who
Holy
actually
shit.
believes what they're saying and who's saying the most outlandish thing they
Smoking
can
'em.
think of to go viral. It's like a game of boy who cried wolf, but they're crying misogyny. Women belong in the kitchen. What is wrong with you? I'm sorry. I didn't mean
start
it.
a
It's
bonfire,
just
Chad,
finances have been tough,
Do it.
And I'm sorry to hear that. Women don't have
cooking.
hobbies. Oh my God. I had to get a crown and insurance won't cover it. I mean, that sucks. That it really does. I'm sorry. Females shouldn't vote. Okay, you need to leave. They're gonna start withholding my paychecks. The most recent example is probably this clip.
I please my man in every way, all the ways.
This
Wake
is
him
this
up.
is fake. Come
He
on.
gets to nut before he leaves out the door at work.
This is an
calling him
actress,
like,
come on.
outside. It's your lunch break. It's time for you to get your nut off.
This
when he
is
gets
fucking
home,
fake,
he's getting
come on.
in bed. He is getting another nut.
What if everyone
Another
misunderstood
nut.
this TikTok and she's actually just an extreme version of Almond Mom? He wakes
Almonds.
up, he gets some cashews. He gets
Wait.
home from work, macadamias.
Who the fuck is Almond Mom?
He might even get some flax seeds at bedtime if I'm feeling kinky. Babe, I want a burger. You're getting flax!
And one before bed, or two if he's lucky.
Who wants this? Who genuinely is asking for this? It's too many times in one day. You would constantly
Enough
be on the
slices.
verge of passing out. I'm not Gwyneth Paltrow. I don't want 8 nuts a day. I don't think this is a real podcast, but if it was, I just want to know who she's talking to, because this is set up like it's a solo podcast, but she's talking to somebody off camera and laughing like
not,
they're
though.
reacting
It's
to what
fake.
she's saying, but we can't see them. It's like she's holding someone hostage just off screen and forcing them to listen. I would know because that's how I film my videos. I'm just kidding. That's a funny little joke that I like to tell. It's just a joke. Anyway, back to these weird TikToks. Aren't they so weird? They're just so strange. I can't believe that they said this weird thing. That's not something that people would typically say, and so it's weird that they're doing that. Isn't that weird? And they would almost belong in like a weird Hall of Fame, you know, because it's just so weird. But you know, something that's not weird is today's sponsor. This video is sponsored by Raycon. Raycon is a company offering quality audio products like wireless earbuds, headphones, and speakers, and starting at half the price of other audio brands. So you get the same quality sound, but at a much better price tag. And if you also can't get anything done without watching videos or listening listening to music 24/7, allow me to introduce you to Raycon's everyday earbuds. I've had these earbuds for around a year and love not having to charge them all the time since they've got 32 hours of standby battery and about 8 hours of nonstop use. I also have the sensitive little Princess Dainty ears, which makes wearing other earbuds uncomfortable and inconvenient because they tend to fall out with each other. They're fighting all the time. But Raycon's everyday earbuds all come with multiple gel tips that you can switch out until you find one that fits just right and stays put. And once they're in, you don't have to take them out even for a phone call. Thanks to their vivid voice technology, you can use the everyday earbuds to take crystal clear calls by using their earbud tap functions. They've got over 50,000 five-star reviews, but if you aren't 100% satisfied, they have an easy and free return guarantee. So if you want to check them out, you can click the link in the description or go to buyraycon.com/chadchad for 15% off of your order. Thank you to Raycon for sponsoring today, and let's get back to the video.
I strongly believe that every single man should get off every single day. Non-negotiable. If your ass as a man and you are not making him move every single day, then you are not a woman. Because hello, welcome to 2023.
It's 2023, ladies. Get with the times. Making a man your number one priority is the next big thing. Never been done before. Heard of it? It's never been done before, so probably not. This is another thing I've seen pretty often where women threaten that if you don't keep your man happy, he'll get stolen away from you.
Somebody will keep your man happy.
But if this is what it takes to keep him around, then that might be for the best. If you don't quit your job and give up all your free time to spend 6 hours a day getting your man off, then someone else will. And that would suck really hard. Unlike you. She keeps cradling the mic in her hand for some reason, and it doesn't really matter because she's not using the mic audio and is using the camera audio.
Man should get off.
Because if she was, then it would sound like, I think men should dump their loads wherever and whenever
Jesus
they want.
Christ. Chad just cooking constantly.
Anywhere they want, really. She has a lot of beliefs that we've heard before, like how women are essentially prizes that you claim for making a lot of money.
Guys should not chase women. They should chase money.
Oh yeah, she's fucking.
Because the more money you have, the more women
really
you'll
cool.
have. Like, say you go to a bar.
Okay.
The cute guy in the Honda is definitely not going to get more girls than the ugly guy in the Rolls Royce. Money can do a lot more for you than a woman can.
I think this is funny because in the earlier clips, she's portraying this ideal version of a woman, then goes on to say here that even in that version, it's not enough for her to be important. You're just shitting on yourself. You're taking a giant dookie on your own head right now. What's a woman gonna do? Give you 8 nuts a day? That's not enough to deserve basic respect, okay? If you want to deserve a man, you need to physically transform into a green piece of paper and be 2.5 inches tall. This is the ideal body type, ladies. Keep up.
You can buy all sorts of things. What's a woman do for you? Just sits there and looks pretty? Gives it every now and then? I'd rather have money if I was a guy.
If I was a guy, I wouldn't even want me. I'm kind of the worst, actually. I mean, you can't have intercourse with money, though. I've tried, and it was not very cash money. I got a bunch of paper cuts and a vicious UTI. Getting hired at jobs has to be tough when you have such a negative opinion of yourself. This has to make you just a terrible interviewee. And what makes you think you're qualified for this job? I'm not. Great. And what would you say is your greatest strength? None. I'm sorry? Oh, I said none? Oh, well then that's perfect then. Welcome to the convent, sister. Thank you, Reverend. I know she doesn't genuinely do any of this. She doesn't actually practice the advice she's giving here because she doesn't have the time. She's too busy with her regular content, which is flashing people in public and trying to pick up strangers in Walmart.
Oh, this is that girl? Jesus. Yeah, don't do that.
Setting aside
it's not
the
funny.
illegal aspect of this, I don't think anyone is actually in this train. All the windows are closed, which I'm pretty sure means there's no passengers inside. So she's essentially just flashing a train. Hey Thomas, the mayor said you're running late again. Hey Gordon, tell the mayor he can go fuck boys. Oh my god.
Are they closed or they're
This
just
is
painted
such a
over?
big risk to take for no one to see it. Imagine committing a crime like robbing a bank and then finding out that you actually robbed a hologram of a bank. It's like performing to an empty room, but then at the end you get registered as a sex offender. And then I said, no, officer, that's just my wife. Anyway, you guys want to see my car? This isn't limited to trains, though. She does the same thing with cars. After a few of these
that guy's
videos, I
like,
realized she's
cool,
not actually
but
flashing
what do I
people
do
because
with
you can
that?
see her clothes if you pause at the right moment. But I still don't think that the people in the cars are in on it, so I'm really confused on why they're reacting the way that they are. Some of them are grinning and taking out their phones to take pictures, when in reality, what's in front of them is an outfit, I guess. Something terrible just happened to me. Oh my god,
Like
it was
a
awful.
bikini
Why, what
or
happened? What is it? I was walking through the parking lot, and this lady came up to me in a trench coat, and then she opened up the front, and she showed me her Her OOTD. Oh
Like
my
lingerie
god.
or
Look, there
something,
she is
maybe.
now. Oh my god. Stop it. Oh my god, stop. You need to stop it. This is disgusting.
Nice boobs, chit-chat.
You can't keep getting away with this. When she's not pretending to commit crimes, she's talking to random men in grocery stores.
I said, are you a parking ticket? Because you have fine written all over you.
No, thanks.
No? Thanks.
Why'd you
I'm
do
not selling anything.
that
Where are we
to
going
that person?
fishing?
What?
When I text you good night later, what number should I text?
Who are you?
They're always really confused, as anyone would be, by someone coming up to you and sticking their phone in your
Demolished her.
face like this. Do you like
Holy
this? Do you want to
shit,
go out
he
with me?
ended
Do you
her
make me want to
career.
nut? Do you want to nut right now? She's also saying terrible pickup lines at the same time as shoving
Who
the phone
are
in their
you?
face, and they have no idea what she's saying. So she ends up having to say it 2 or 3 times.
Is your name Google? Is your name
She.
Google? Is your name Google?
What?
No? You have everything I'm searching for.
She has to say it so many times that I'm starting to think it's not a pickup line and she's just actually looking for someone named Google. Hey, have you seen my friend, Google? No, sorry, ma'am. Have you seen my friend? No, sorry. I've seen him.
She's getting
Looks like I'm your
absolutely
friend now. What did you do? What
roasted
needed
by these
to
random
be
men.
Why is my poop green? Because you have cancer. I fucking knew it. On top of the pickup line, she also does other pranky things in Walmart, like jumping out of trash cans, jumping into people's carts. She even jumps into the seat of one of these Walmart floor scrubbing machines.
This man looks Amish. Yeah, this person is fucking super annoyed. They're so nice.
Wanna jump on? Dale!
Which is so fucking crazy. She could potentially get this guy fired for letting a customer hop on this machinery or cause an accident
Yeah,
because
he's
she
probably
even
just
grabs
playing
the
along,
steering
like,
wheel
what
at
the-
some
he's
point.
like,
I may have cost
she's really
someone their
hot.
job and they may be unable to afford
That's what he's thinking.
food. But I got 24,000 likes on TikTok, so I'd say it was worth it. But she also does this other less dangerous thing where she'll stand near somebody, pretend to be on the phone, and then talk about what they're wearing.
If I saw a guy in a striped shirt, he would be mine. Striped shirt and blue pants. It's my favorite. My favorite kind of guy.
This poor man is just trying to go home. He's trying to ignore her and she just keeps following him.
And blue shoes?
And the way she's pretending to talk to someone about them is so unnerving.
If I saw a guy in Fila shoes, I would take him home with me. Blue shorts and Fila shoes.
Sometimes it's less like she's describing a guy and more like she's describing her next meal. If I saw a guy who was wearing a gray hoodie with green shoes, I would take him home with me
Out of here.
and cook him.
Yeah, I take that back about the last guy I said. He's thinking she's hot. Probably did not. Yeah, he probably was just being nice.
So obviously not all of her content qualifies as pick-me behavior. She's kind of covering a lot of ground here. But I think if I had to summarize it, I would say basically everything that a creepy old man would do in a parking garage. You want to see my banana?
It's old and it has spots.
You're old and has spots.
White sheets, khaki pants, spot t-shirt, glasses. No, his family wouldn't miss him now. Got a type of glass. Are you from IKEA?
No,
Are you from IKEA?
I'm not.
You're not
No.
from IKEA? Cause I could get lost in you, boy. Are you an elevator? Cause you got me full of. Did it hurt? Did it hurt?
No.
You fell down from heaven? Did it hurt? Look at me! Do these match? Does it clash? Rate my fit!
Do you live in LA, Chad?
What do you think? What? Oh my god. Have another one. Are you from IKEA? Can I have a ride? Get out. Can I have a ride? No, get out. Give me a ride. No.
I'm gonna call it there, guys. Thank you for subscribing, and if you are still here, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you clicking on my video out of all the videos that are on here, and I'll see you next time. Okay, bye.
Good shit, Chad. Alright, so this point, we're gonna watch like 1 or 2 more videos, and yeah, that's gonna be it for us. Let's see here. Missed potential. We're not gonna watch a moon video right now. What this is the Zats man. Sounds like a lot of nothing. I don't want to watch anything. Yeah, this is just, this is not cool. The Cult Criterion Collection.
Twitter has had a long...
This is biologically answered cult. Filthy rich tech companies are entering crisis mode.
Of layoffs.
More than half of layoffs.
Mass layoffs.
US tech companies are already gearing up for recession, and the best way that they deal with recession is to cut jobs.
Twitter had a total of 7,500 employees at the end of 2021. But after acquiring Twitter, Elon Musk would viciously lay off the workforce, shrinking it to just 1,300 employees, out of which only 550 were full-time engineers. With such a purge, you would think that outages become commonplace, bugs and glitches become a normality, and that the infrastructure of the company would collapse from within. But as far as we can tell, Twitter is still completely operational. I mean, as an average user, you wouldn't even know that such a massive change unfolded on the back end. Not only has Twitter remained operational, but they've even been able to roll out some new features like Twitter Blue. But this doesn't make sense. If 1,300 employees are able to keep Twitter functional and even launch new features, why in the world did Twitter have 7,500 employees just 6 months ago? This might seem like a Twitter-specific question at first glance, but when you zoom out, you'll realize that this same question applies to virtually every tech company. Facebook has a total of 86,000 employees, Google has a total of 190,000 employees, and Apple has a total of 164,000 employees. Now, of course, not all of these employees are software engineers, but a substantial portion of them are, as in 30 to 50%. And even more of them are tech workers involved in program management, IT, and solutions architecting. And it's not just these big FANG companies either. The same question applies to well-known startups as well. Robinhood, 3,800 employees. Airbnb, 6,800 employees. Uber, 33,000 employees. I mean, why in the world does Uber need 33,000 employees? This becomes even more confusing when you consider that most of the core services for all of these companies are already built out and functional for years, if not decades. I mean, modern software engineers at Google aren't going to be writing search algorithms from scratch, and software engineers at Instagram aren't going to be creating messaging infrastructure from scratch. Now, of course, many of these software engineers have been getting laid off in recent times. Google laid off 12,000 people. Facebook laid off 21,000 people. And you know all those startups that we were talking about? Well, most of them have laid off 40 to 50% of their workforce. But this simply furthers the narrative that these companies are able to get away with far smaller workforces. So why exactly did they have so many software engineers in the first place? And what exactly were all of them even doing? Common sense would lead you to believe that running these companies simply requires such a large workforce, but that's not exactly true. While coding may seem intimidating and difficult from an outside perspective, the truth is that most coding projects are actually pretty straightforward. Creating an app like Instagram or Airbnb isn't actually that hard. Airbnb, for example, could be created by a single developer and a single UX designer within 16 weeks. And you don't even have to outsource the labor to cheap developers overseas. You can pay the developer $5,000 every week and the UX designer $50 per hour, and it would still only cost $82,000. But you don't even have to look that far. Instead, you can look back. Many of the tech apps and services that we use on a daily basis were initially completely developed by less than 5 people. The initial WhatsApp was created by a Russian developer from rentacoder.com. The initial Airbnb website was created by 3 roommates. The initial Uber app was created by 3 friends, and the initial version of Twitter was created by just Dorsey and a contractor. Now, of course, as you grow, you wouldn't want to rely on less than 5 developers. You would want developers checking each other's work, developers who are focused on user retention, developers who are focused on onboarding, developers who are focused on A/B testing, developers who are focused on back-end engineering, and so on. You would also want program managers who are leading each of these efforts and a CTO who can set company-wide goals and timelines. But none of this takes tens of thousands of employees. More realistically, it would take hundreds of employees, and if you want to be generous, you can call it 8,000 employees, similar to what Twitter has right now. Most companies did indeed start off this way, but somewhere along the line they started hiring far past their needs. Take Facebook, for example. At the end of 2014, they had a total of 9,200 employees. By this point, Facebook had already been around for over 10 years, and they owned all 3 of their main platforms, Facebook, WhatsApp, and Instagram. The core functionality of these services were complete, and the only tasks ahead were optimization and scaling. This isn't to say that these tasks are easy, but it's also questionable if it warranted a 9x increase in headcount over the next several years. A similar story can be seen at Google as well. Back in 2014, Google had a total of 54,000 employees. By this point, Google already had all of their money-making services set up and performing well, and they had a market cap as high as $400 billion. You would think that Google could cut back on hiring and simply let time do its magic. But instead, Google would go ahead and increase their headcount to nearly 200,000. So if it's not an intrinsic need that's pushing these companies to hire more, what is? One of the main reasons that these companies hire so many people is simply because they can. This might sound a bit anticlimactic, but it's true. Virtually all of the companies that we've discussed so far are extraordinarily profitable on their own, or they have infinite venture capital money. At first, these companies do the sensible thing with all this money. They build up cash reserves, they diversify into new businesses, and they solidify their user base and brand image. But eventually, they run out of things to do, as they simply reach market saturation. Traditionally, this is when a company would chill out and pay dividends, but these are tech companies that we're talking about. Traditional oil, consumer, and industrial giants take 50, 70, 100 years to get to this point. So the transition to dividends feels more natural. These tech companies, however, often get to this point within 5, 10, 20 years. Pretty soon, this leads to some pretty weird hiring habits, like hiring with no intention. This might sound confusing, but this is literally what happens. At a normal company, if your team needs a new person, your manager would probably put in a request with HR. HR would then turn around and put up a job posting and leave it up for a month or so to attract a sufficient number of candidates. From there, HR would pass on the most promising candidates to your manager, who would then interview these people and choose the best one. This is how a normal, sensible company hires, but at most tech companies, it's the exact opposite. In fact, the needs of specific teams is mostly irrelevant. Instead, these companies have generic job listings like software engineer and program manager that are up forever. And it's not until candidates pass the arduous hiring bar that Google even thinks about where to place them. This often results in candidates passing the hiring bar, but then getting infinitely stuck in the team matching phase. Why does Google do this, you ask? Well, their philosophy is basically, we have a crap ton of money, so let's just hire the best people, and we can worry about giving them something to do
We're all
later.
set for tonight.
Obvious
I'm just,
reasons,
getting tired,
this
so
leads to a
we'll
pretty
finish,
bloated workforce.
If you want to finish this, it's called Logically Answered. This video, filthy rich tech companies are entering crisis mode. At some point before the morning, we'll try and get this into the description. Thank you all for watching. We'll see you in the morning for some guitar. Love you. Have a good night.